Hello, hello. You're seeing my face because we are at the end of a book, the wrapping up of chapter 17 of Black Hearts in Battersea. King James, the Duke and Duchess, and Sophie are moving higher up to escape the commotion below them going on in the castle, and we will pick up from where we left off. Hush ye, ill-mannered bird! Lead the way upstairs, then, Battersea. The Duke had the key to a small privy staircase leading to the battlements, and up this he led the king, while the rest of the party followed. It was now almost dark, except for a fiery pink streak lying across the western sky. Down below in the park, the obscurity was broken by flashes as the students skirmished with the wolves, and aimed a shot from time to time at Hanoverians in the castle doorway. "Brave boys, they're keeping the scoundrels boxed in!" exclaimed the Duke. "When the yeomanry come... Oh, why don't they come?" "But look who is coming!" Sophie pointed, almost stammering in her excitement. "The balloon! It must be Simon!" "Why does he come in the balloon? Because of the wolves?" "It is certainly Simon!" An appealing shout went up from the students as the balloon drifted over them, shining in the light of the gas flambeaux, which were now beginning to illuminate the park. Simon leaned over the side and shouted down urgently, "Keep away from the castle! Away, for your lives!" Then he threw out some ballast, and the balloon soared up to the level of the battlements. Grasping the hooked end of the king's cane, he was drawn close to the castle walls. "Please, your graces and your majesty, don't waste a minute," he begged. "Climb on board, quick! You are in the most deadly danger. There is not an instant to be lost. Sophie, Gus, Dr. Field, jump in as quick as you can." He sprang onto the battlements and helped the Duke lift his wife into the car. "I say, ain't this a famous balloon, though?" said Gus, helping Sophie. "Will it hold us all, Simon, me boy?" Yes, only hurry!" Simon was frantic with impatience as the king, somewhat stiffly and gingerly, clambered into the waist of the car, assisted by Dr. Field and the Duke. At this moment, Buckle rushed out of the attic door onto the roof, followed by Mrs. Twite. "I told you they were escaping!" she shrieked, her face distorted with rage. "I told you I saw a balloon after them, Eustace, quickly!" Buckle darted toward Gus, who felled him with a large snowball and leaped nimbly on board. Mrs. Twite threw herself at Simon and grabbed him around the middle. "Oh, you wretch!" she exclaimed, pummeling him. "I'll teach you to come meddling, asking questions, helping them escape just when the cause is about to triumph." "Who the deuce is that harpy?" the Duke asked in bewilderment. "Simon, quick, Dodger!" Sophie cried anxiously. Everyone else was now on board, and the balloon was already moving away from the castle walls in the evening wind. Simon wriggled out of Mrs. Twite's grip, dodged her around some chimney stacks, tripped Buckle, who tried to intercept him, ran for the battlements, and with a tremendous effort hurled himself across the rapidly widening gap. He fell sprawling over the gunwale, half in and half out, but Sophie and Gus grabbed him and hauled him to safety. Meanwhile, the car tipped and lurched terrifyingly, then sank a few feet. The Duke and Duchess, with desperate haste, flung overboard all the loose articles of baggage they could lay hands on to lighten the load. Braziers, rugs, provision hampers all went tumbling into the park, and the balloon rose higher. Mrs. Twite let out a fearful shriek of disappointed rage, but Buckle, with an oath, pulled out a pistol and fired at them. "Mercy! Mercy! He's hit the balloon! Oh, what shall we do?" cried the Duchess. Sophie bit her lip. They could all hear the hiss as air rushed out of the puncture. The balloon started to sag. "Dear me, hadn't reckoned on anything like that," muttered the Duke. "I have it!" Sophie cried suddenly. "The tapestry! Aunt Hetty's tapestry! Simon, can you climb up and lay it over the hole?" She handed him the bundle of material, and he swooped up a guy rope and flung it into the cloth over the top of the globe. Gus caught it and held it tight on the other side, and the air escape was checked. Dr. Field scrambled to the tiller to steady their progress, and the balloon glided swayingly down and away from the castle. Oh, he's going to shoot again!" cried the Duchess. Buckle, with deadly intent, was aiming at the balloon once more, but as they watched, frozen in suspense, the thing that Simon had been expecting came to pass. With a noise so loud that it seemed no noise at all, the whole castle suddenly lifted up, burst outward, and disintegrated in one huge flash of orange-colored light. The balloon rocked and staggered. Fragments of stone showered about them. The Duchess fainted. Fortunately, the hartshorn had not been flung out. Sophie was able to find it and minister to her grace. "Dod," said King James. "Nae wonder you are in such a hurry, my lad. We're obliged to ye, very. A wheel. That rids the world of a muckle nest of Hanoverians. But I'm afeard there's no much left of your castle, Battersea." "No matter, no matter," said the Duke somewhat distractedly. "To tell the truth, I never greatly cared for it. I should much prefer to live at Chipping's." Well, we'll lay out a pleasure garden on the site. Yes, that will be much better. Simon, my dear boy, I can't thank you sufficiently. We are indebted to you for all our lives. Sire, may I present to you my nephew Simon, Lord Bakerloo? As for those miserable yeomanry and Bow Street runners, we might as well never have appealed to them, for all the help they have been. But as they sank slowly toward the snowy grounds of the academy, a sound of marital noise was heard. The banging of drums and squealing of fifes heralded the arrival of the Chelsea yeomanry, who came marching in brave array down the Chelsea Bridge Road, while along the bank of the river 20 Bow Street officials galloped at full speed, led by Mr. Cobb. Meanwhile, the students, having observed the balloon's escape, had come running across the park, and all these forces converged to welcome the rescued party as they reached the ground. Dr. Furneaux was in the forefront. "Oh, my dear! Oh, my poor sir! My dear friend!" he exclaimed, giving the Duke a bristly hug. "How I commiserate with you! Your home lost, destructed by the brigands! Not that I ever admired it, indeed, a most hideous building, but still, the saying goes, does it not? The Englishman's castle is his home. And poor Madame, alas! But never mind, you shall live in the academy, both of you, if you wish. I make you most welcome, and my students shall design you a new castle, moderne, comfortable, imperturbable. This we shall do directly." "No, thank you, dear Furneaux, but we think we shall retire to Chipping's and turn the castle grounds into a pleasure garden for you and your students. Meanwhile, His Majesty has kindly offered beds at Hampton Court to myself and my wife, and niece and nephew here, and Dr. Field." "Niece and nephew?" Dr. Furneaux stared in bewilderment, first at Simon and Sophie, then at the Duke. "What is this? What is the other one? The little Justin?" "It was a case of mistaken identity," the Duchess explained kindly. "Simon is our real nephew and heir. He will be the 6th Duke of Battersea." Dr. Furneaux was aghast. "Oh, none. This I will not bear. This I cannot endure. I get me a boy, a good boy, a painter, a real artiste, a genius, and what do? You make him a duke. Every time it is the same. I say, poor to all dukes." "Oh, come now, my dear Furneaux." Luckily, perhaps, at this moment, the royal sleigh, which had been summoned post-haste by the colonel of the yeomanry, arrived at the river bank, with its attendant outriders. The king and his guests were all packed in under layers of swan-down rugs. Goodbyes were shouted, whips were cracked. "I'll be back in the morning, Dr. Furneaux," Simon shouted, "for a long day's painting, and we'll mend the balloon." "And collect Aunt Henrietta's tapestry," Sophie called. "And give a Christmas dinner to thank everybody for their help," shouted the Duke. Simon thought of another, sadder task, which he would hasten to perform. The small white stone on Inchmore's heathery slope with the name of Dido, and Sophie thought of the orphans at Glover's poor farm to be rescued and given happy homes. The sleigh bells jingled, and the horses began to move away in their felt slippers. "Good night, Merry Christmas, God save King James, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year." Faster and faster the procession glided off into the dark, a long trail of brilliant lights, red and gold and blue, winding along the frozen Thames to Hampton Court, until at last the glitter and the music of the bells died away, and the students went home to bed, and the mysterious peace of Christmas night descended once again upon Battersea Park. And that's the end of Black Hearts in Battersea, and as you can tell, there's a lot more to come in that story, and I will get to it as soon as you ask. There's a prequel to read, which I would like to read after I finish the October readings, but I will get started on those very soon. There will be Scary Stories and John Belair's, who has a movie out now based on House with the Clock and its Walls, which you can go back into the lists and listen to me reading. Very fun book and great movie. And I will see you next time.